My name is Alex Blooms. I work as a laborer in a small factory. Without any qualifications and having started working right after graduating from high school, I could never afford to quit my job, no matter how low the pay was. Thanks to that, even though it's only mid-month, my wallet contains just a single $100 bill. There was about $500 in the bank, so I figured I'd manage somehow. At that moment, I saw a ragged-looking girl before me. She was wearing a uniform from some high school, but it was clear it wasn't from any school nearby. Moreover, despite it being the cold season, she wasn't wearing a coat, and her knees were scraped and her clothes were in disarray. What's wrong with that girl? Curiosity got the better of me, and I stopped to look at her. Isn't she going home? Sitting there at this hour? Maybe she's got a stomach ache or something. She was rubbing her legs together and her hands from the cold. Occasionally, she would breathe on her hands to warm her frozen fingertips. If I leave her be, she might end up involved in some incident, so what should I do? I decided to enter a nearby coffee shop, bought some hot drinks and donuts, and walked over to her. As I approached, the girl tensed up as if scared. Hey, good evening. Don't be scared. I won't do anything to you. You looked cold, so I was concerned. Here, would you like this? What I offered was a freshly bought hot lemon tea. She hesitantly reached out and held the lemon tea to her cheek to warm up. Aren't you hungry? Being hungry makes you feel even colder. Not knowing what teenage girls like, I picked a donut at random. I wondered if she would accept it, as I offered it. The girl said in a small voice, "Thank you," and accepted it. Aren't you going home? She shook her head in denial, but she didn't say anything. Could it be that she ran away from home? I thought so, but fearing getting too involved, I wondered what to do. Then the wind blew her skirt. What caught my eyes were her legs, covered in painful-looking wounds. What? Your legs? She quickly stretched her skirt to cover her legs, but I had already seen them. Did someone do this to you? Were you beaten or something? She stiffened and did not seem willing to talk. Okay, sorry, there are things you don't want to talk about, right? Yeah, that's fine. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. But if you stay here, you might get caught by some bad people. How about going home? She said in a small voice. No, I was thinking of going to my dad's place, but it's far away. Her father's place. That means she's currently with her mother. I didn't know what was happened to her, but it didn't seem like a situation that would resolve easily. Why don't you call your dad? Maybe he can come pick you up. I don't know the phone number. I don't even have a cell phone either. I was surprised that a teenager nowadays didn't have a cell phone. Do you know the address? Do you know where it is? She nodded and showed me a small piece of paper. It had an address I didn't recognize. This is where you can meet him? She nodded. It does seem far, but I'm not sure. Besides, it's late already. Saying that, I took out my smartphone and searched the address. What came up was Greenwood Group, a construction company, maybe. I wrote down the number on a note and gave it back to her. This is the phone number I found by searching that address. You should call it tomorrow. Then you'll probably find out about your dad. It came up as Greenwood Group, so maybe your dad works for a construction company. I hope you can see him. Then the girl showed me a bright smile. All right, you should stay at a nearby hotel tonight. I'll make a reservation for you. You can stay by yourself, right? I don't have any money. I had little money, though. I had a $100 bill in my wallet. Maybe it is enough for a stay. Thinking that, I said, don't worry, I can cover for one night. After a warm bath and a good night's sleep in a bed, you should call your dad. But I can't pay you back. Don't worry about it. You just need to hope you can meet your dad. With that, I made a reservation at a nearby hotel. I took her to a hotel where breakfast was included for $100, talked to the hotel staff, and handed over the money. I also asked them to allow her to make a phone call in the morning, and then I parted ways with her. I did a good deed. My wallet was empty, but being able to help the girl made me feel good as I went home. A few days later, I was called by the factory manager, Smith. Did you call for me? Being called by the manager was a first for me. Since I started working at the factory, I entered his office with a nervous look. He inside was wearing an expensive suit, not at all what you'd expect from a small factory's manager. He's the manager of such a small factory, and he's not wearing work clothes. I found it strange. It's Alex, right? Yes, sir, it's Alex Bloom's. Right? You don't have to come here anymore. I'm sorry, what do you mean? It means you're fired. I didn't know what to say to this sudden dismissal, so pack your things and leave. Excuse me, please tell me why. Did I make a mistake that warrants being fired? I can't recall doing anything wrong. We don't need a troublemaker like you in our company. It doesn't make sense. What makes me a troublemaker? You have connections with the mafia, don't you? What? No way, that's not true. Man, it's unbelievable. I gave you a job even though you only graduated from high school, and now you're involved with the mafia. I couldn't believe it. That must be some mistake. I've never been involved with the mafia, nor have they ever bothered me. You can say whatever you want, right? But the fact is, the mafia is looking into you. As a company, we can't employ someone like that. We never wanted to hire a high school graduate in the first place. The previous boss used to say nice things like, if someone is motivated, that's enough. Even if they're just a high school graduate, please, I really have nothing to do with the mafia. If I lose this job, how am I supposed to survive? I don't care if you end up dead on the street. That's none of my business. Why don't you ask the mafia for help? I'm sure they'll help you out. I've told the office to pay you for today. Don't ever show your face at our company again. I kept repeating, there must be some mistake, but he wouldn't listen at all, looking at me as if I were trash. It's all over. Realizing it was the end, I received a thin envelope in the office. That was my last paycheck from the company. Was the 15 years I worked so hard for really so meaningless to be ended with just this thin envelope? When I said goodbye to my colleagues, they wondered why so suddenly, expressing their regret over my departure. But no matter how much my colleagues were unhappy about it, there was no changing the manager's mind, nor was there anyone willing to convey those feelings to him. They all knew that if they did something like that, they would be the next ones to be cut off. I just hope I can find another job before the money runs out. With those thoughts, I could only see the ground beneath my feet. Then, in my downward gaze, I spotted a black tire coming to a stop. Why would a car stop here? Curious, I looked up. It was a black luxury car. It's in the way. Naturally, I thought it must be some big shot coming to the factory. Then, the driver with gloved hands came out of the driver's seat and respectfully opened the rear door. A man in an expensive suit and a girl came out. The man asked the girl, "Is this the guy?" The girl nodded in confirmation.